Thank you all for coming today. It's so wonderful to see this group of inductees here on the stage. We appreciate all of the family members and friends who have traveled from near and far to be here. I know how much it means to us here at Andover and especially to the group that we're inducting here. This wonderful initiative, the Athletics Hall of Honors, is celebrating its 8th anniversary this year. I would like to ask former inductees of the Hall of Honor who are here with us today to please stand so that we can recognize you. Additionally, we would also like to recognize and thank Dick Phelps, class of 1946, and Jim Meade, class of 1947, for their vision. Together, they conceived of this special program and helped us bring it to life. In 2012, we installed a plaque in their honor that reads, "Phillips Academy and the Alumni Council offer profound thanks to Richard J. Phelps, class of 1946, and James M. Meade, class of 1947, for inspiring and championing the Andover Athletics Hall of Honor." A few weeks ago, I was on campus for the celebration of 25 years of the Phelps Scholarship Program, a program established by Mr. Phelps in 1990, which has supported 185 students, including me. Could I ask Dick Phelps, class of 1946, to please stand and be recognized? Since the Athletic Hall of Honors has launched, we have inducted alumni, trainers, coaches, and teams that have spanned 123 years of classes from Phillips and Abbott Academies. These athletes have represented sports across the spectrum, from the gridiron to the track, to the lacrosse field and the soccer pitch, to the parquet floor and the wrestling mats. Today, we are inducting 7 individuals into the Athletic Hall of Honors. The mission of this initiative is to recognize and honor alumni, teams, and coaches from Phillips and Abbott Academies who have displayed exceptional athletic ability on the field and who continue to lead a life that embodies the value of these academies. Mike Moonves, class of 62, a fellow inductee in the Hall of Honor and co-chair of the Athletics Committee of Alumni Council, will join me in the presentation of inductees. For our first inductee, we have a special presentation by Hall of Honor inductee and committee member, Ashley Harmeling Wayman, class of 2000.
Though she is little, she is fierce. This is Momo personified to me, one friend said. She is fierce in everything that she does, be it athletic endeavors or being a dedicated entrepreneur. She balances her kindness and affability and her drive in a way that results in success, but not without serious amounts of both heart and hustle. At Andover, this was true not only in sports, but also in leading her classmates as an all-school Blue Key head and in various other capacities as a student and member of the broader community. Basically, Momo is the best. In 1999, Momo Okad set the Phillips Academy girls outdoor track record for the 200-meter event, 25.6 seconds, a straightaway record that still holds today. After Andover, Akade earned a BA degree at Yale. Oops. I don't think that was me. Earned a BA degree at Yale. Taught history and coached basketball and track at Choate Rosemary Hall and the Dwight Englewood School, and served as Dean of Students at Prep for Prep, a leadership development program for high-achieving, underrepresented students of color. When asked how to describe Momo, her teammates and classmates used words like electric, heart, firecracker, energy, positive, hardworking, humble, encouraging. Another friend shared, she is one of those people that when others might see a clear disadvantage from where she stands, like maybe being a foot shorter than her defenders, she barely notices and just does what she needs to do to persevere and in most cases win. Her smile and laugh are infectious, and she is humble to a fault. In my words, Momo is the type of woman you are proud to know. She gives 110% to every moment of her life, and I admire so many things about her. Momo is being inducted into the Hall of Honor not only because of her athletic aptitude and achievements, but because of the class, determination, humility, and integrity she brought to any field, court, or conversation she graced. Please join me in congratulating and welcoming Momo Okad to the Andover Hall of Honor class of 2015.
I'm definitely going to keep my remarks brief. I am so excited to be here. The first reason I'm really excited to be here is I get to see one of my very, very favorite teachers at Andover, Dr. Quattlebaum. He inspired me. I developed a love for history in his U.S. history course my junior year, and went on to teach as a result, and it's just really incredible to see you, and I thank you for the time that you shared with us back in those days, so thank you, Dr. Q. I'm super surprised to get this, to be honest with you. These kinds of things are really, really great, but at the end of the day, I don't think I deserve it, mostly because I don't think I did anything special. If anything, I played on some really, really phenomenal teams with incredible coaches, and so I just want to single a few people out. Coach Mo, Martha Fenton, Coach K. You created an incredible athletics department, and we had some really badass teams back in those days, so thank you. I also had some incredible captains and teammates. They're not here today, but I definitely want to thank Steph Hunter, who was the captain of the girls' varsity basketball team my freshman year, a tremendous leader, really taught me what it meant to be a leader on the court and off. Also, I want to thank another teammate of mine, Claire Coffey. She's just one of my best friends. She's taught me so much on and off the court. The last thing I want to, or the last group of people I'd like to thank are my classmates, the class of 2000. So this is the best group of trash talkers you'll ever see in your life, and they propelled many of my teams forward when we were basically down and out. So I just want to thank you all so much for coming to our games, for writing about us in the Philippian, for talking trash to your friends from other schools. It was awesome, and we thank you, and thanks so much to the Academy, and my apologies for all of the cursing.
Her coach at Andover, Paul Murphy, said that Hijin Chang was more than just a fast swimmer when she entered her freshman year. She was a quiet leader. She gained the respect of every swimmer, diver, and coach in the league. In fact, other coaches used to record her swimming and show it to their teams to show them how it was done correctly. And they still couldn't beat her. She led the Andover swim team to the New England Championships all 4 years that she was here. Hee-Jin holds 2 New England swimming records, 2 Andover school records, and was an All-American in 7 events. She also swam for her native country, Korea, in the Sydney and Beijing Olympics, and won a Big 12 championship in the 50 freestyle for the University of Texas. Please join me in congratulating Hijin Chang on her induction into the Andover Hall of Honors.
So when I got this letter in the mail from Andover, and I opened it and I saw my name among the 7 people, I almost called Mr. Murphy and said, "I think you made a mistake." I'm so honored to be here today, especially, it's a very special moment because it's also my 10-year reunion, class of '05. It's a journey coming to Andover. My swimming career started because my parents couldn't control my energy that I had when I was young. I was bouncing off walls, and the acceptable sport to them was swimming. They just threw me in a pool and waited until I got tired. And swimming actually helped me acclimate to the U.S. culture when I first moved here, because my dad decided that he wanted to uproot our entire family and move to the U.S. for 3 years due to his studies. So through swimming, not knowing a word of English, I made friends through learning how to be a team, competing with them, through sportsmanship. And I don't think it was until I came to Andover what teamwork is. Until you compete in Andover Exeter, you don't know the nervousness that just succumbed, like it's overwhelming at times. And I was actually behind the blocks in China in 2008 before my 100 free, thinking, this is not as bad as Andover Exeter my senior year. And to this day, I mean, I've won a lot of races, but I also lost many. And one of the most memorable races that I've lost was the only one race I lost during my career here at Andover, and was during Andover Exeter, to this girl. I don't want to say her name, but and I won't. But I still remember that moment, and that moment always stuck with me, and that got me through so many hard trainings throughout my years up until my retirement in 2012. Thank you so much for being such a supportive family, even after 10 years of not being here. It's great to see some of my records have come down, and I've been telling Maddie Murphy, she asked me, why are you happy your records are going away? Well, I said records are meant to be broken, and it means this Andover community is doing an amazing job nurturing swimmers, swimmers like me and swimmers that have graduated in the past, where we show the world that we can be athletes and great students at the same time. One other thing that I really loved about Andover is that I not only got to swim, but I also learned how to play water polo and rowed for 4 years and made amazing teammates and coaches. So I remember Coach Green asking me if I wanted to row in college. It was actually a really hard decision to make. That's how much I loved rowing and playing water polo. So thank you so much for such a wonderful experience, and thank you so much for class of '05 for coming to see me. And thank you, Mr. Murphy. I don't know if you're here. Oh, there you go. Hi. Thank you, Mr. Murphy, for being the best cluster dean, the best math teacher, and the best swim coach ever. Thank you.
Welcoming a former U.S. ambassador into the Athletics Hall of Honor is truly an honor. Clearly, what Ford Fraker accomplished at Andover was a precursor to his continuing successes at Harvard in business, as the ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as a leader, and as a family man. How many Andover graduates have captained teams, earned all prep status, been elected to the Aurelian Honor Society, and won the Yale Bowl and the Schubert Key? Wow. Chris Gurry, recently retired from a memorable career here, called Ford the consummate three-sport athlete. He goes on to say that Ford was a wonderful teammate who worked hard to make all his teams better. He really did give it up for the team over and over again. Heartfelt praise from an Andover legend. and it's an honor for me and the Alumni Council of Phillips Academy to recognize Ford M. Fraker with distinction as an inductee into the Athletics Hall of Honor.
Dick, thank you very much for that generous introduction, and I'd like to thank everyone here at Andover, particularly the Sports Committee, for this great honor. It's a real privilege, and I thank you all very much. You know, sports was obviously a big thing for me when I was here at Andover. However, Andover was way more than just sports for me, and I think it's important to understand that to be able to, for me, sing in the choir, participate in school governance, to do a variety of different activities was what really rounded out the Andover experience for me, and I'm sure that the Academy continues to provide those opportunities for the student athletes that are here. You know, the other thing I think about is if you fast forward from Andover to Harvard, I spent many years in the UK, and there was a venerated sports commentator in England with the unlikely name of Hailwood Hailbrune, who made a comment about sports that resonated with me and had me reflect for a long time about what sports was for me here at Andover. And the comment was this. He said, you know, sports doesn't build character, it reveals character. And that had me thinking a lot about many games, many events that I participated in here, and the same notion was discussed when I was ambassador. I worked very closely with General David Petraeus, and when he was coalition commander in Iraq, and one of his generals, Stanley McChrystal, and we used to talk about leadership and what made a good leader in the military. And they talked about training, the importance of training, how when one went into combat, you needed that training because the mind turned off and you needed to be reliant upon the training you'd had to survive. But the other comment they made that also stuck with me was that when you go into combat, when you go to war, war doesn't build character, it reveals character. And I think that's very true. So the other thing that Andover instilled in me was a real sense of the importance of networks and personal relationships. I would not have been able to have the privilege of serving my country as an ambassador without the Andover connections. It was mutual Andover friends of the president that put my name forward to him for consideration, given my background in the Middle East. And when I met with him, when he offered me the job, it didn't matter that I hadn't seen him or spoken to him in 40 years. It didn't matter that I hadn't worked on his campaign or given lots of money. It also didn't matter that I didn't agree with him on his Iraq policy. But actually what mattered was the fact that we had this shared experience at Andover. He felt he knew me and could trust me. So in May of 2007, just before I went out to take up my post, I got a phone call from the president's office saying the president wanted to see me before I went out to Riyadh. And I thought this would be a great time. I'll get our old Andover baseball picture, take it into the Oval Office, he'll sign it, and I'm sure he'll get a kick out of it. So I show up at the West Wing, go up to the Oval Office. President opens the door, looks at me and says, "Mr. Ambassador, how are you today?" Well, there's only one response to that answer, which is, "Mr. President, I'm fine, thank you." When I walked into the office, I had expected this would be about a 30-second event, but Vice President Cheney was there, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice was there, National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley was there. So this turned into a very different meeting than I had expected. But at the end of it, I did have the opportunity to give him the picture. And he looked at it and was identifying some of the people in the picture, and he turned to me and he said, "You know, we had a really terrible baseball team my senior year." And I said, Mr. President, it wasn't as bad as the team I captained when I was a senior. And then I made the first of many diplomatic faux pas when we were talking about his team, and I reminded him that as a senior he had sat on the bench and as a sophomore I had started. And he looked at me and he said, "Have you been confirmed yet by the Senate?" And then he laughed, signed it. And this picture, it's an interesting picture because in the front row, sitting on the right side, you can see the president, his baseball cap's pulled low, he's looking really serious. I'm standing in the back as a lower, my hat's back, I'm really relaxed. In fact, I'm delighted just to be in the picture. But I know for sure that he wasn't thinking that, when I grow up, I'm going to be president of the United States. And for sure, standing in the back row, I was not thinking, when I grow up, I'm going to be U.S. ambassador to Saudi Arabia. So the moral of this story in terms of networks and friendships is stay close to your classmates and your teammates, because you never know when one of them is going to be in a position to offer you a good job. Thank you very much.
Todd Harris had a truly remarkable athletic career at Andover and for 3 years in baseball at Harvard. A Phelps Scholar, Todd won numerous awards on the field of play and was the recipient of the prestigious Yale Bowl at his commencement. Leon Modeste, our athletic director and current football coach, talks glowingly about Todd, and I quote, "Well, I have the unique distinction to be the only coach that ever cut Todd. Todd got 11 letters. I cut him from basketball his junior year. Todd was an extremely talented athlete. However, the thing that set him apart was that he was very focused and determined. He saved the day versus Exeter when he raced 95 yards to tackle the Exeter ball carrier at the 1-yard line. The Exeter player was running back a blocked extra point that would have won the game for Exeter. Todd never gave up." It is a distinct honor on behalf of the Alumni Council to present Todd Harris as an inductee into the Andover Athletics Hall of Honor.
Thank you, Mike. Well, my class is celebrating its 20th reunion this weekend, so I'm especially thankful. I'm especially thankful to be up here today, and I can see some classmates and teammates out there in the crowd, and it's great, and I'm excited to share this moment with you. 25 or so years ago, I caught a huge break, and I ended up on a baseball team with the Quattlebaum brothers. It was a summer before I started high school, and I was actually on my way to St. John's Prep in Danvers that fall. But Dr. Q and Ruth thought, hey, this guy might be a candidate for one of these newly formed Phelps scholarships that just had gone into place. So one break followed the other, and the admissions office gave me a shot and took a chance on me and gave me a late spot into the class of 1995. So thank you, Quattlebaums, for taking such an interest in me and for being my second family for those high school years and the years ever since. And of course, thank you, Dick Phelps, for the generosity that gave me that incredible chance to be a part of this school. Where I work now at Nike, we say, if you have a body, you are an athlete. I think that concept rings particularly true for me after having spent 4 years here at Phillips Academy. As everyone knows, at about 2:30 each school day, there's this great migration that happens, where most of the school seems to be leaving dorms or academic buildings and moving over to the athletic fields. That is one of my favorite things about this place. It doesn't matter if you're on the varsity or JV2 or whatever it is. You learn all the great lessons of what it's like to be part of a team. And I'd say that is probably the most important lesson that I've taken with me from Andover into the business world. It's that I learned the importance of being a good teammate, and I learned a lot of skills on how to be a team leader. I've got a number of other people to thank today for the various ways they've contributed to me being here. I couldn't have asked for two better coaches or mentors than Leon Modesti or Andy Klein. My family was a dependable presence at every Andover game I ever played, home or away. And if you know what the New England prep school landscape is like, you know what kind of commitment that is to get there. And for my patient and wonderful wife and two of the best kids I could ever have asked for, well, Daddy says thank you for being such a great team. And they say you can't go home again, but I'd have to disagree, because this weekend I certainly feel like I've come home. Thank you for this opportunity and this honor. I was a lucky kid 20 years ago, and I'm a luckier man today. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I first of all want to thank Mike and Meredith for all of the work you do on this Alumni Council and the opera. I think we ought to have a big standing ovation for what the two of you have done this whole thing. Congratulations to the 2015 inductees into the Hall of Honor. I've been here for all of these splendid events and continue to be impressed with the marvelous abilities that you have demonstrated, not only on the athletic fields here, but in your life as you've grown and accomplished so much in your careers after you've left Andover. What an especially outstanding group this is. Congratulations to each and every one of you. Now, my distinct pleasure to introduce a very dear friend, Ed Quaddlebomb. If there ever were a modest individual, I don't know whom that would be. But I know that Ed would not be here today if his family had not dragged him into this room, because he does not want to be in the limelight ever. But what a wonderful gentleman, and a wonderful individual, and a great friend of Dick Phillips and his family. As an Andover student, Ed Quaddlebaum played varsity basketball, ran varsity track, and involved a variety of clubs. And he was also class president his senior year and was awarded the prestigious Moorhead Scholarship at UNC and the Aurelian Honor Society Prize here at Andover. Quattlebaum went on to study at Harvard. We'll eliminate that. But he was recruited by Harry Parker, who had been looking out for varsity athletes with great ability, and he encouraged Ed to get involved with the great Harvard Cruise. Quattlebaum rowed for the legendary Parker for 4 years and rowed for Harvard at the Henley Regatta his senior year. Undefeated that year, the Crimson also won the Eastern Sprint title. Ed was one of those great triple threats that Andover has been so fortunate to have. A great athlete, a great teacher, and a great counselor to all the students. Ed, we thank you so much for what you have done for Andover, and we also want to welcome all of your lovely family here, including those lovely grandchildren of yours. And we conclude by awarding you this honor from the Alumni Council. Ed, please come up and accept our award here and have both of you come up. I know you hate this.
sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Great.
Momo, I never saw it myself, but I was told by her classmates that once she ran from Commons to our classroom in 25.4 seconds. So I was a little disappointed when I heard that her 200-meter record was only 25.6 seconds. When Hee-Jin said that the envelope arrived and that she opened it and said probably something that we all said, there must be some mistake. It occurred to me while she was saying that, and maybe some of you saw this too, a couple of weeks ago, or a little more, the great blues musician B.B. King passed away. And CBS reran a little interview that they did with him, and the interviewer said, Mr. King, do you realize that a major magazine has called you one of the 3 great guitarists of all time? And B.B. King said, I don't believe it, but I can't tell them that. A word about Sally and Dick Phillips. It's well known how they have changed the lives of at least 185 scholar athletes. It may not be as well known that they also have followed very closely the lives of those 185 and many others after graduation. And inevitably, some of us struggle, and when that happens, Sally and Dick might get on the phone and talk to them. That's a truly remarkable thing. I can't think of anything that Exeter has that's anything close to that. Oh, I beg your pardon. In 1895, Rudyard Kipling wrote, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and meet and treat those 2 imposters just the same, ... triumph and disaster, those 2 imposters. Take your mind's eye to the JV basketball court on a Wednesday afternoon in February, probably 1974. I know the 1975 folks are here. They might remember the name Jerome Buttrick. Jerome was our lower middler center for my JV2 basketball team. And on this particular day, we finally executed an opening center tip play that meant a tip and a bounce pass and another bounce pass and then a layup. Every single time we tried this, something went wrong, and the ball wound up out of bounds, and before we knew it, we're behind 2-0. On this day, Jerome got the tip. The first bounce pass was perfect. The second bounce pass was perfect. We had a little tiny guard. Think of him as a kind of a what was his name? Dellavedova of the day. And he heaved that ball up against the wooden backboard on the JV court, which goes widthwise in contrast to the to the varsity court. The ball kissed off of the wood and hung on the rim for what seemed like an eternity. And then it fell in. Yes. And we all kind of looked over. I should have said there are 2 people in the stands that day, and that was a large crowd for us. One was Ruth, and Ruth needs no introduction. The other was a stranger who sat not far away. Instinctively, we all looked over at Ruth when that ball fell in. Now, nitpickers might want to point out that the ball fell into the wrong basket. We sensed something was wrong when we looked at Ruth's hands, and instead of applauding, both hands were over her mouth. The stranger, who was sitting quite close to the coach's wife, said in a voice that could be heard through the varsity partition, through the whole building, "Who the hell is the coach of this team anyway?" Two great imposters. Let's just remember that. For some reason, the rest of my 37 years coaching at Andover were on the Merrimack River. And that brings to mind some great coaches that I had the pleasure to work with. Martha Johnson Beatty, Catherine Lucier Green, whom we call Lush, Bill Brown, Bob Moss, Dale Hurley, and Pete Washburn and I worked together for 29 years. We had soggy days out there, we had sunny days. They were all great days together with Pete Washburn. And with 1,500, at least 1,500 rowers, gritty kids, brave kids, wind, rain, sleet, or snow, tremendous courage. And they rowed, and we rowed up and down Old Man River. And as we sit here right now, it just keeps rolling along.
Cory Schneider arrived at Andover as a new lower and wasted no time establishing himself as a leader as the goalie on the men's varsity ice hockey team. In his senior year, the Big Blue reached the New England semifinals, and Cory was awarded the prestigious Yale Bowl Award at commencement. Cory was a first-round pick in the NHL draft, but believing in the value of a solid education, he opted to first play hockey at Boston College. At BC, Schneider led the Eagles to 2 Hockey East championships, and he still holds 3 BC records for shutouts and saves. If you want to see Cory play this season, you'll have to go down to New Jersey, where he's currently the starting goalie for the New Jersey Devils. Please join me in congratulating Cory Schneider on his induction to the Andover Hall of Honor.
Thank you very much for that. Just a quick observation. I don't know if you noticed, all my fellow inductees have these very great, class and team photos. It appears to be up on their thing, and all the pictures we've gotten, I've had these sort of grainy candids of me at various points in my life. So I don't know if I slept through all the picture days or I'll have to find one for you guys for the archives so we can maybe get a proper one. That one right there was my upper year baseball team. We bleached our hair for the playoffs. So as you can imagine, a redhead with bleached hair was pretty unfortunate. So anyways, I just want to say thank you, first of all, to the Academy and the Hall of Honor Committee for not only nominating me, but selecting me. I'm just quite humbled and flattered and frankly surprised. And congratulations to all my fellow inductees who are all just incredible athletes. Just a quick story about what brought me to Andover. I went to my public high school in Marblehead, Mass. My freshman year, and at that point, the people I was playing hockey with, at a club level or an elite level, they were all playing at prep school. So, the next move was to sort of apply to prep schools, and that's where you had to go play if you wanted to play at a higher level. So I applied to a few local schools, Andover being one of them, and I got in, and I really had no intention of leaving home. I kind of just did it to do it, and I didn't think much of it. And finally the day came where my father literally had to submit the check to enroll at Andover in the fall. Like, literally the last hour, he had to get in the mailbox at 5. And he sort of looked at me and said, well, what are you going to do? And I kind of said there, a 16-year-old kid, and I said, I don't know. And he said, well, you're going to go to Andover. So I said, okay. Thank you for that, because it really changed my life coming here. I didn't, I'm almost a different story. I didn't quite jump in feet first. I was very hesitant and shy, and I didn't really know what to make of the whole experience. And by the time I left here, I couldn't have been more happy that I had come here. Between my peers, my friends, my classmates, coaches, teachers, staff, equipment guys, athletic trainers, the support system here was so incredible. I wouldn't be where I am without this place. So for that, I'm extremely grateful and thankful. I can't imagine my life any way else. So thank you to Phillips Academy for everything you've done for me and for considering me still 10, 11 years later. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my parents who worked their whole lives to provide me with an opportunity like this to come to this school. Nothing was ever given to me, but they did everything they could to provide me with an opportunity, and I can only hope that I can do that for my children as I grow older. And I'd like to thank my wife, who's here obviously. I'm really fortunate that I get to play a game for a living still. I don't call it work at all. Every day I'm lucky to be doing what I'm doing. However, it's a demanding, consuming, and inherently selfish lifestyle. And my wife puts up with me and supports me and pushes me to really enjoy what I do every single day. Because at the ripe age of 29, I'm now a veteran, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So thank you. And just in closing, I think I've learned that life is it's all about who you surround yourself with and the interactions you have with them and the relationships you have with the people that pass through your life. And I think there are very few places in the world like this where you can come in contact with so many amazing people and have the experiences that we get to have by attending Phillips Academy. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate it.
As you can see, there are 6 people on the stage. One is missing, who will be inducted momentarily, but a good number of his family members are here. And we are most happy that members of Ted Thorndike's family are here to celebrate his induction. One of Ted's former teammates at Andover, at Harvard, and on the United States 1976 Olympic team, Danny Bolduc provided us with some thoughts about Ted and his family. Here goes. Please share my remarks and how touched I am with the Thorndike family. What they might not know is how special and caring that Ted's mother and father were to me and my family at a time when I had left home for the first time to pursue a dream that came true for me. Truly a very special family, and I have never had an opportunity to tell them so. When I first arrived at Andover as a junior, Ted Thorndike was an upper, and I had my heart set on playing on the varsity hockey team. Much to my chagrin, I quickly found out that juniors were not allowed to play on the varsity, and I remember that it was Ted Thorndike who led the charge on my behalf to get the rule changed, and eventually I was allowed to play on the varsity. Ted Thorndike did not have to do that, but that was the kind of guy he was. The following season, Ted was my and everyone's unanimous choice to be our captain. He was a great leader, and I was proud to be at his side. Later, when we both matriculated at Harvard, the same Ted Thorndike welcomed me with open arms. If every teammate could be like Ted Thorndike, all coaches would have a dream team. I had the privilege of playing with Ted for a third time at the 1976 Winter Olympics in Innsbruck, Austria. He dedicated himself to improving his game and represented his country with flying colors. He loved life, and everyone loved him. When I think back on all those early hockey years and all the great people I met through hockey, the name Ted Thorndike comes to the forefront of my memories, and so to the Hall of Honor Selection Committee. I commend your selection of Ted Thorndike, a truly remarkable individual and a person deserving of this special tribute. Danny Bolduc. And I'd like to ask Ted's uncle to please come up and accept the honor on behalf of the family.
I'm only his little brother.
His little brother. Sorry.
Thank you to Danny, who was sitting right behind me. And I said, oh, I'm not going to get emotional today. But anyway, Teddy left us almost 30 years ago, and we miss him. But anyway, he's had a lot of influence on kids that he taught that goes on, and we hear from. I just wanted to say, by the way, it's Teddy's 45th reunion year. And some of his classmates are here. It's only my 40th. But anyway, it is a pleasure to accept this great honor on behalf of my brother Teddy and his family, many of whom are here with us today. This is a great class of inductees, and I know Ted would be very honored to be among them. What Teddy loved about Andover were his classmates, teammates, coaches, and teachers who always were pushing for excellence. He felt he learned as much on the playing field or in any rink as he did in any classroom. What he learned from coaches and teachers such as Harrison, DiClemente, Sturgis, Wennick, Bronk, Hulbert, Maynard, and Schneider inspired him to become a teacher and coach and give back. Teddy was strong in every sport, but never selfish. It was fun to be on his team. He was a playmaker who always got many more assists than goals. Thanks to his PA class of 1970 and family and friends, there is a locker room with his name on it in the Harrison rink. Ted's senior year, a kind of a funny little story, he was accepted at Princeton and waitlisted at Harvard, and my father went up to watch one of Teddy's last games against Yale. I think it was Yale JVs or Yale freshmen, the baseball team, and the director of admissions from Harvard came to the game. He came right up to my father and he said, I know it's not very likely that Ted would ever play Harvard hockey, but maybe we came to look at him and see if he could cut it with the baseball team. Teddy hit a double and 2 home runs in that game against Yale, mostly because the pitcher, my brother was a catcher, was his pitcher the year before. I think his name was John Seibel. But the next day, he was hand-delivered an acceptance letter from Harvard. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Palfrey. I'm the head of school. There are many things that I love about this school, and one of them is this podium that goes up kind of like that. I don't know if you can see it going up. But in the course of the school year, there are a few things that are my favorite events, and I really shouldn't have favorite events as the head of school, but 2 of them are this event, because we learn so much from our athletes and those we honor through this particular ceremony, and also the Phelps Scholar Dinner, which we have every spring. And I want to thank everybody who has been a huge part of both of these events. In particular today, Michael and Meredith, thank you for your hosting of these events and all the work on the Alumni Council. And I know there are many, many of you who have participated in the choosing of these great athletes, and I'm truly grateful. This is entirely something that has come about as a part of alumni interest in supporting athletics at Andover, and we're so, so proud of it. And of course, there is a deep connection, Mr. Phelps, Dick Phelps, and Sally Phelps, in part because you helped to create this particular event, but also because of all those athletes, scholar athletes, that you have supported here. So thanks to you for both this event, Mr. Phelps, and also all the people who are here literally because of you. Thank you so much for that. I'm truly grateful. I love this event also because we get to hear these stories about Andover. It's an amazing way to tell a historical view as well of this school. Momo, Hee-Jin, Ford, Todd, Ed, Cory, and of course Ted, whom we honor posthumously, thank you for the great examples that each of you set, the best of Andover, which is exemplified through your service and all that you have done as athletes. We're enormously proud of you, and thank you for all that you've done. Congratulations. I want to end with just a few reflections on athletics at Andover. Another one of the favorite parts of my job is the fact that I do not get to play a game for a living, Cory. I get to play many games for a living, it turns out, because the coaches and the athletes here let me on the field with them for practice and to get to watch them. In my first year as head of school here a couple of years ago, even though I had lots of Exeter gear I had to get rid of, I love that I can be the red meat for all of you to cheer against. I had put on some blue stuff, and which I now have lots of, I'm thrilled to have, and I was actually running across Main Street from my house, Phillips' house, toward the gym. And it was about 3:30 or so in the afternoon, and I was sort of part of this migration that you described of going from one part of campus to the other, and a huge smile on my face. I was totally psyched and was jogging over there, and my wife was driving the other way down Main Street, and she honked on the horn. She was pulled up at the stoplight, and she said, "Palfrey, go to work!" And I looked at her and I said, "You know what, honey? I'm at work, and this is fabulous." The fact that we here get to exercise, the fact that I love the story, Todd, about the fact that everybody having a body is an athlete. This is just an incredibly important part of life at Andover, and it is so alive and it's so central to what we do here. And of course, each of your examples is one of total excellence, and we have much of that here. But we also have a group of 1,100 kids who are learning all of these great traits from all of you. One of the commonalities across all of your comments, and one that just stands out so strongly, is the fact that you all thanked coaches as teachers here. And at the 25th anniversary of the Phelps Scholars, which we celebrated just a few weeks ago behind the Andover Inn at a beautiful ceremony, one of the things I was just overcome by was the sense and the recognition of the importance of athletic instructors as coaches and classroom teachers and admissions officers and others who come together as teachers through athletics. And I think one of the most amazing things about Andover is the faculty that we have and the teachers who are doing that through coaching. And many of you are here. I see Karen Kennedy and Coach Mo and Coach Fenton, and I know Mr. Murphy got quite a great shout out from Hee-Jin. I just wonder if we could please have a big round of applause for all those teachers who teach through their athletics. Thank you. I've never heard that quote about sports don't build character, but sports reveal character but I will be using it a lot. I love that. And I have a boy who's 13 years old playing in a baseball tournament this minute on the Cape, and I'm going to use that for him later today because I have a reason for it. Thank you for that. We have had a wonderful year in athletics, and I want to give you just the briefest of reports on it. Momo, I will not use language quite as graphic as yours, but we've had a fantastic bunch of teams this year. Great spirit, great character, and truly great successes. I actually think the athletic program is in fantastic shape right now at Andover, much to be proud of. The toast of the town this fall was our field hockey team, the girls field hockey team, which went undefeated, really extraordinary season. The girls softball team this spring went 18-0, and they won the New England Championship in a game against Exeter, it's true, by the score of 22-3. And they have one heck of a pitcher, I hear, coming in next year, so this is going to be an extraordinary team again. You mentioned, Ed, the amazing history of crew at Andover. At this very moment, in England, at Henley, we have not one but two crews rowing in the Henley Regatta. So both the girls and the boys teams are rowing at Henley today, which is just an amazing thing and very exciting. And if anybody of you has not been out to the new boathouse, the Bill Brown Boathouse, it is really one of the just triumphant spaces of this campus. It happens to be in Methuen. It is on that river that continues to go on and on. But it is one of the great tableaus, I think, of this school to see. It's 135 kids participated in the rowing program this year. It's about 10% of the school. And it's really an amazing thing. So I hope that one day you get to see a regatta out there. It's very beautiful. And it's just a lot of fun. And kids are obviously learning an enormous amount. Under the lights this year at Exeter, at the Andover-Exeter game, which I once called the Exeter-Andover game, boys varsity football won 13-12 in just an awesome squeaker of a triumph, and that is exactly the same score that the boys varsity football team beat Exeter the year before at Exeter, 13-12, 2 years in a row. Very exciting. The last year it was an undefeated team that went on to beat Brunswick for the New England Championship. I think Coach Mo and others who coached that team know this was a scrappier team this year. Did not have quite the same season, but man, were they scrappy when it counted against Exeter. I will say that also, just to admit my own shortcomings, I love the story about Mr. President being on the bench as a senior for the Andover baseball team. I proudly rode the Exeter bench as a boys varsity baseball player back then. I loved that experience, but definitely there were many lowers who were much better than I was back then, and we lost to Andover absolutely every time. I think in all the sports I played, we lost consistently at Andover. I was also the starting wide receiver for the Exeter football team, and you can see from my build what result that was. It was not wasn't great. A couple of other highlights just to note before closing. Several players and teams have won All-American honors and certainly All-New England honors. One other individual honor, Dylan Mott, a boy who is going on to play soccer in college, scored his 48th goal this year, which was an all-time record for the soccer team. Really amazing accomplishment. But my favorite moment in Andover sports, which I think exemplifies in a way the sense of humility and teamwork that all of you have shown along with excellence, the girls varsity cross-country team was excellent this year, truly, truly excellent, once in a long time kind of a team, wonderfully coached, great spirit, great kids. And in one of the races, they had, and it was either Taft or Choate, I think it might have been Taft, they were coming across the finish line, and they were consistently sweeping the opponents. And this was not the only time they did this, but it was a whole bunch of teams they were beating. And a sweep in girls cross-country means that the top 5 runners are from that one team. And of course, cross-country is an individual sport, as you know, and there were some really great kids competing for individual honors. And those girls, those 5 girls in that race, crossed the finish line at Taft holding hands. And I love the image of those 5 girls coming exactly into line, grabbing hands, and winning that race together. There's something about Andover athletics in that one moment this year that I think summed up so much of what is great and good about this program. And I'm so grateful to those kids. 2 truly final notes. One is, in our strategic plan at the moment, we have a very big focus on reviving, and reviving is the wrong word because it's so strong, but breathing further energy and further strength into our athletic program. We do that in part because because we've been thinking through the role of athletics in wellness and in all parts of our curriculum, and that's ongoing, and I think really, truly an experience of building from strength. We are also doing it because our athletic facilities, our indoor athletic facilities, are a little long in the tooth. We have not actually done much, Mr. Quattlebaum, since there was that wooden backboard in the JV2 court. It may still be wooden. We have not, since 1979, done work on the inside facilities. You can imagine that at that time, it was more or less a set of facilities built for a 600-person boys' school. It more or less is that. So one of our big pushes, and yes, I am beginning a fundraising pitch by saying this, for the next several years, as part of what we're focused on, is to rejuvenate both the program and the indoor athletic facilities. This is a big commitment on our part. It's probably 6 or 8 years worth of work and probably $100 million worth of a lift, so it is a lot of deferred maintenance, and also a chance, I think, for us to affirm the centrality and the importance of athletics as part of the experience of anyone coming here. So we'd love your help in that as we move forward. I want to close by sharing a quote which I know that comes from somebody here who was at the senior athletics banquet a few years ago. Meredith Hudson Johnston, you said this to all of our athletes, and I think it's a great way to close today. Meredith said to our graduates, you will graduate from here and wear different colors and different jersey, but it is your Andover jersey that will always remain as the foundation and closest to your heart. Meredith, thank you for those words to our graduates, and thanks to all of you who have worn the Andover blue with such pride, of course highlighted by those we honor today, but to all of you for being a part of this, congratulations and thank you.